Well, now that Superman's gotten a test screening, what's the actual buzz? In case you didn't know, recently James Gunn screened a rough cut of the film for friends and family of the cast, and the initial response is typically telling in these projects, and we got a couple of details on it. There was also some reports of reshoots, not as big of a deal as you would think, and Gunn has addressed that directly. So let's dive in and talk about the test screening, some of the responses, and these reshoots that are really not the standard reshoots. Well, in case you didn't know, James Gunn's Superman movie has recently done some actual test screenings. Apparently, Gunn unveiled an early cut of the film for both friends and family. Now, recently, we've had a whole series of reports about Superman and a potential test screening, and now the team over at The Hollywood Reporter has managed to confirm that director James Gunn has shown the DC reboot in a, quote, in an unfinished, still deep in post form. Now, the trade went on to mention one screening, and this one in particular was held, and I quote, on the lot with his close-knit crew of people he trusts. Now, to me, this isn't an actual, quote, test screening, but it appears to me Gunn has unveiled an early version of the film for friends and family and cast, which honestly is not that much of a stretch. Now, the team at THR is, and I quote, keeping the buzz about the movie itself in our own fortress of solitude, leading many to believe that the buzz was very positive. Let's be real, bad news sells. And if the test screening went poorly, I feel like the team at THR would probably be pretty critical. Now, I have spoken with several people who live close to some of the production facilities down in LA, and apparently there are some full-on test screenings scheduled, they just haven't happened yet. Hopefully, when this happens, we'll start to see some reactions from the screenings, but I don't really expect to hear anything about this initial peak. Now, in case you didn't know, attendees of screening are often under strict embargoes when it comes to talking about this movie. They sign NDAs, and they set themselves up for potential lawsuits in the future. So, if you're given the privilege to actually see a film early, it's in your best interest to keep it to yourself. You might get invited to more in the future, and you'll avoid those pesky Warner Brothers lawyers that definitely are going to come down on people with elite portions of this film. Now, the site did go on to say that there were some reshoots scheduled to take place in Los Angeles. And as many of you know, James Gunn kind of prides himself on not having to do a lot of reshoots. Now, this actually drew a question from a fan online, where he posted a link to the article and asked James Gunn if it was true, and his response is a bit telling. He said, sort of. Not a few days. We're doing a day and a half of pickup shots, no scenes, no reshoots, just a handful of individual shots to enhance the film. Now, when you combine this with the fact they just did a test screening, that probably gave them some ideas where they needed to put some filler. These shots are often used to kind of keep the pacing of the film moving forward. It doesn't sound like anything's being reshot, just things to make the movie a little better, which probably became apparent as they were working throughout the post-production process. Now, what's this mean for us fans? Well, it means we're inching closer to release, but it also means we're getting closer to potential details about how good the movie is. Like I said earlier in the video, the fact that THR is saying they're locking it away in their fortress of solitude, to me, feels like a good sign. I want to be optimistic about this project, so I know I'm a little biased in that fact, but let's be fair, man. All of James Gunn's superhero films have been really, really good, and I'm expecting nothing less than spectacular out of Superman. Now, The Man of Steel makes its way into theaters July the 11th, 2025, so we are about 6 months away from its release, and I expect just a few weeks away from an actual trailer. As soon as we get more news about the trailer, the release, test screenings, or anything like that, we're going to bring it to you right away. I think this film is going to be the movie of 2025. It's one we're going to follow closely, and given how positive the response was to Creature Commandos, that seems like a home run. I think Superman is going to be James Gunn's grand slam. Sorry for the baseball references. So, what do you guys think? How do you feel about these pickup shots for Superman happening in Los Angeles? And do you have any faith in responses from some of these test screenings? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Now, before you take off, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, ring that bell for all the updates, and make sure you get every notification because we do daily Marvel and DC content and we don't want you to miss any news.